Strategies recommended and/or purchased by advisor or product made reference to directly or indirectly will be profitable. Different types of investment involve varying degrees of risk, and there can be no assurance that any specific investment will either be suitable or profitable for a client's investment portfolio. No client or prospective client should assume that any information presented serves as the receipt of or substitute for personalized investment advice from the advisor or any other investment professional.
Welcome to the Bullington Capital Report, hosted by Bill Bullington. For the next hour, you'll receive information on current market conditions and trends that could affect your financial future. If you have a question, you can participate in today's program by calling 216-901-0945. That's 216-901-0WHK. You can also reach Bill by going to his website, bullingtoncapital.com. And now, here's Bill Bullington.
Well, welcome back, everybody. Like the man said, this is Bill Bullington. I'm here every Saturday morning from 11 to noon, 1420. If you hear anything you'd like more information on through listening to this show, just feel free to go to my website. It's bullingtoncapital.com. And you can reach out through email. Might be better off calling, actually. We haven't had any problems with email for a few weeks. But over the past 18 months, it's been off and on. I have no idea what is going on. The carriers all blame each other. And anyway, so I apologize if you sent me an email and it's taken me a while to respond, because I probably didn't. I'm actually sure I didn't get it until it was delayed. So lovely. But anyway, a lot of stuff. There's always a lot of stuff going on in financial markets. I'm out here shopping for a new automobile. So I drive so much that I wear my cars out after 3 or 4 years. They're running on fumes, which is what they always do from the beginning. But anyway, so interesting. Looking at different offers that are available. I forgot to kind of take a look to see what the overall trend was in automobile sales. I'll do that during a commercial break. The bottom line is the economy is actually, it's unbelievably resilient. I'm really surprised that it hasn't slowed down more than it has, and shocking, actually. And that's a really good sign. That's a really good sign. That means the overall, there are a lot of industries out there still growing strong. They're not laying off people. It's a lot different than the kind of stuff that's on the headline. I think that's one thing that kind of shocks me the most is when you look at home sales and it was just about everything. Car sales, outstanding debt. It's pretty strong. It's really not. The signs of a severe recession are not there. At least not yet, anyway. But even with all the noise and all the craziness going on around the country, reminds me of the 1970s, which we made it through then too. And that's one of the things I kind of like to take a couple minutes here and talk about. When there's bad news, the media has a field day. They just love reporting bad news. Why? Because psychologically, people are more apt to stop and take a look and listen if the news is bad than they are if everything is okay. If they come out and it's just good news, and it's just the way humans are wired. They have a tendency to pay more attention to bad news than good news. And so we kind of, just the way we're wired, it sets up the media to sensationalize everything that's happening. And it's gotten to the point where so much, I hear and see so much because I'm constantly scanning different sources of media. If I'm not there to see it, I promise. Well, there's a large percentage of things that are happening, and the way that they're saying it or the way that it's being presented is making it seem significantly more significant than it is. Not to say that a lot of the things that are happening are not serious, that they need to be handled. They do need to be handled, and they will be. I have no doubt in my mind. And we've come through much, much, much harder times than this. In fact, the way that the economy and the home sales and car sales are going, even though it's a little bit slower, it's still very strong. So that's a good thing. There's still the thing that's going to push ahead economies all across the world going forward is that more things are moving to be running on electricity, and that electricity needs to be generated. So it's a big deal. It needs to be stored some places. There's a lot of things that are running on these gigantic batteries. If you want to see something kind of interesting, just go to Google and type in industrial batteries and take a look. It is mind-boggling how much is going on behind the scenes. And that never gets talked about, except for shows like this one and the obscure they're not actually obscure publications, but you won't see the Wall Street Journal giving nearly as much space to these types of stories as they do politics and bad news. So and I'm going to make it a point going forward to start to gather these articles, and I already do have a website and we have a sorry about that. Something just happened and broke my concentration. I have a newsletter that we send out, and I basically get to pick the articles that get sent out, and they write a portion of it for me. I edit it and then send it out every week, just trying to keep in touch with people, trying to keep everybody up to speed, and a lot of work, but I like it. That's one of the great things about doing what I do. If you're interested in it, then it's great. Nothing ever stays the same for very long, so you have to also spend a lot of time reading and listening and just trying to keep up. But just like people that are getting closer to retirement, it is it's a pretty big deal. When you're getting close to retirement, what you really want to watch is your allocation towards stocks and the types of bonds that you're going to buy. And most people say, I don't buy bonds. Well, if you've got a fixed income mutual fund, you're buying bonds. If you have a balanced account, you're buying bonds. You just don't realize it. And that's okay. I don't expect people to know that or understand that unless they just really like it a lot. And I meet a lot of people who do investing as a hobby, and they're very serious about it, and they're really good. I mean, they're exceptionally good. And it's funny how often somebody will come in and say, "Hey, can you take a look at this portfolio? Don't know if I'm doing this right. Don't kind of considering having an advisor. Don't know if I should." And I'm looking at their stuff. I'm like, "Yep, no, you don't need an advisor. You're doing a very good job all on your own." So, and that's awesome. That's a really great thing to know that you can do that. If you've got other generations that you may be worried about, I know I have one out of three of my kids is really good with money, and she'll never have a problem. The other two, they're going to have to rely on their sister to help them out. But there's no problem with that. And we've had those conversations, and the conversation's going, well, you guys need to talk to McKenna, and that's pretty funny. some people have a tendency to just get it right away, uh, and some people have a tendency not to ever get it at all. So having a few rules down. I know you probably, if you've done any reading or not, if you haven't done any reading, there's this rule called the 4% rule. And 4% is basically the amount that you should take out, or that they recommend that you start whenever you retire. You start off with 4% of your principal. And that's how you know if you can, it basically gives you a good estimate of whether or not you've saved enough money to retire without doing part-time work. And let me just stop for a second there. My dad retired, and then he was so bored, and and I'm sure a large part of it was, the lack of exercise, lack of movement, lack of interaction with other people. So he started working part time, and he would get side jobs. Well, we call them side jobs. He was a small remodeling contractor, and he would just take side jobs. He was the carpenter by trade, and I got into the contracting part just because people kept asking him, and he never really saw that, which I always thought was kind of funny. But anyway, he was really, really good at it. So he had some stuff that he could do right up until he um, just couldn't do it anymore. And not everybody's that lucky. So I would um, really recommend highly that before you ever retire, before you officially retire, that you try to find something that you can do, whether it's volunteering. I've got a couple clients that do that, and they seem to love it. Um, and they're busy, and actually, a couple of them, especially. I don't know if he's going to get mad if I use his name, but Tom Basista, man, that guy runs his den off. Yeah, it is mind-boggling. I think he's busier now than he was when he was working 60 hours a week, 70 hours a week. Those guys worked a lot. You might remember Basista Furniture. He's one of the Basista family. And this guy just, man, he's got a lot of energy, that's for sure. So, but he seems to really enjoy it. And that is awesome. If you could find something that you would like to do, maybe you start doing it 4 or 5 years right before you get ready to retire, a little bit at a time, and then by the time you're at retirement age, you don't have to feel like you've got to learn a whole lot of stuff real fast. Not that that's uh, going to hurt you at all, but it's just a little less stressful, I think, if you're involved in it. And so, bottom line, it's the um, pretty good. Yeah, I think my career is what I would have chosen to do in retirement anyway. So, in other words, I don't have to retire. I'm just slowing down. That's the bottom line. I don't take as many clients as I used to. There are a lot of clients, potential clients that come in. They'll show me what they're doing, and they've really spent a lot of time and put a lot of effort in. And the conversation kind of goes, well, you really don't need me. You're doing a good job all on your own. So I would just keep doing what you're doing. And then there are people who, if you want to get the maximum returns for the risk that you're going to take, and if you're going to get above CD rates of return, you have to take risk. There's no way around it. I mean, if you invest in real estate, I hear from a lot of real estate investors. I hear from the really successful ones how much they like it. And I would hear an awful lot from people who weren't successful managing properties, because it's a job. You're going to work, and if you're gonna make a substantial amount of money with it, you're going to work a lot, and you're going to have to hire people to fix properties that were kind of torn up by the renters. You're going to have to learn how to get an attorney to get somebody evicted from a property. It's a job. That to me, that's not a retirement. That's you're trading one job for another. But a lot of people really like it. And that's, more power to them. It's a really nice thing, and it can be very risky, especially if you don't spend a lot of time watching after the property, communicating with your renters, and it's a job. It's really a job. So, but like I said, if you like it, great. That to me would be the ultimate. Looking at hitting retirement, if you're planning on staying home and you never really thought about what you might do with most of your time, that's going to be a problem. So I would definitely a couple of years before retirement, start thinking along those lines. So what will you do to fill the time in your day? What kind of, you might have to get training for that. I think that could actually be helpful. I've gotten a couple clients over the years who became counselors in retirement because they like to do it. And more power to them. That's awesome. So anyway, I'll stop on that concept right now. And just one of the other things I'll let you know, there's a new, well, it's actually been around for a while, but there's a certification. I'm studying the material right now, and it has to do with the topics that we're talking about here, just retirement in general. And it's kind of fascinating. I have never seen two people that had the exact same situation. Not once in 35 years. I've never seen the exact same situation pop up, and which cracks me up because they make a lot of rules that they say, or at least imply that they apply to everybody. And that's not always true. In fact, it's probably not true more often than it is true. So you are different, and the things that are going to make you different, we're going to talk about when I come back from these commercial messages. This is Bill Bullington right here on 1420. Stay tuned because I'll be right back.
It's like it was yesterday. I was praying for a miracle, scared to have a little hope. And now looking back today, seeing all the things you've done, I can't even add them up.
All right, hey friends, Bob France here for the good folks at the Buff, Harry Buffalo, Great Northern Boulevard in North Olmsted. When's the last time you stopped in Harry Buffalo? If it's been a little while, you don't know what you have been missing. They have added so many phenomenal things, including the new lunch special, Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. to 2. You get your choice, 2 soups, salads, and sandwiches. You pick, all just $10. Now, that's the lunch special. They also have the happy hour specials, and that's my favorite. Weekdays from 4 to 7, a new food special every day of the week, wing day, burger day, pizza day, all kinds of great options for you. You can check them out online at harrybuffalo.com. As a matter of fact, while you're there, join the herd, get a free appetizer on your next visit. Take a look at the menu, whet your appetite just a little bit, and head on out. By the way, if you're looking for something after work, great drink specials and happy hour too. $3 for craft pints, domestic talls, well drinks, and house wines. $3 domestic pints all day. So whether it's lunchtime or happy hour time or dinner time, doesn't matter. It's a great time when it's Harry Buffalo time on Great Northern Boulevard in North Olmsted.
This podcast, Alex Marlowe, brings deep research, prescient analysis, and world-class guests.
Biden was deteriorating. He was of decreased mental function. He did have major physical damage, but not necessarily the stuff that's being focused on at the moment. What's most relevant is the dementia and the brain aneurysm stuff that no one is talking about, and no one is answering that question, how much that has had an effect in his life.
Subscribe today on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, Rumble, or at SalemPodcastNetwork.com.
No doubt about it, we're spending more time at home, which is the perfect time to make it more functional and beautiful. Hi, Ed Flash Ferentz here for Artistic Renovations, Northeast Ohio's premier and award-winning remodeler. Artistic did a fantastic job with our kitchen in 2016, and last year, they were back for the master bath. Oh my word. Do yourself a favor and go to artisticreno.com. Believe me, you'll love their ideas and without question the finished product. For a virtual consultation, call 216-520-0838 or visit artisticreno.com. You've heard the saying, all good things come to an end. Well, not always. Sometimes they just take a break. That's what's happening with Our Lady of the Wayside's car donation program after 24 years and 96,000 rides donated. Pretty amazing. Here's the story. The car lot's owners sold the property, making it impossible for car donations to be accepted at this time. According to the Wayside CEO, Terry Davis, the next right steps will be determined and communicated soon, so stay tuned. In the meantime, Terry and the entire team at the Wayside thank you for your continued support of the 450 individuals with developmental disabilities in the Wayside's care. And please take note, you can still support them by making a donation at thewayside.org. Thinking about updating your home? Well, Joyce Factory Direct specializes in replacing old, outdated windows. Proudly made right here in Cleveland, Joyce Windows features their exclusive Smart Shield high-performance glass, which means you'll be getting the most energy-efficient windows for your home directly from the factory. Customers just love how much warmer their house is and how easy their new windows operate and clean. Right now, you can save 50% on all installations. Just call to schedule a free consultation with on-the-spot pricing, 440-243-5700, or visit joycefactorydirect.com.
Well, welcome back. This is Bill Bullington, owner of Bullington Capital Management, the primary owner, rather. And let me see. I think we have a phone call. And by the way, the number is 216-901-0945, 216-901-0945 if you'd like to call. And right now we're going to go to Brian. Brian, you're on the Bullington Capital Report.
Hey, Bill. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. Thanks so much. Hey, I wanted to mention something. We're having our grand opening, and I think you mentioned that I could maybe mention it on the show.
Oh, sure.
Great.
Yeah, he didn't. Yeah, that's funny. He didn't tell me it was you.
You know what? He didn't ask either, and I didn't tell him. Well, I gave him my name.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, this is Brian Bidoff for all the listeners out there. He's a longtime client, involved in just about every function in real estate. And so I'm going to let you take over and announce what you have coming up here.
Okay, thanks. So we're with Kitchen Tune-Up, Akron, Canton, and we do full kitchen remodels, custom cabinets, refacing, redooring, cabinet painting, backsplash, countertop, the whole thing. And we're excited to announce the grand opening of our new showroom. It's a kitchen remodeling and design center. It's at 6318 Market Avenue North, Canton, Ohio, 44721. That's Plain Township. And our grand opening is June 28th, so that's 2 weeks from today, from 10 to 4. And stop by and see us, and we'll have door prizes and snacks. Thanks so much.
Good. Is June 28th a Saturday?
It is. And I'm sorry, let me share our phone number. It's 330-775-0991. You can also go to kitchentuneup.com.
Yeah, that's really cool. Brian's been a really good long-term client, super hard worker, is honest as the day is long. So I know in your industry, that's not real common because that's the industry my dad worked in. And there were a ton of people. I mean, there are some sharks out there. And I don't know if it's still that way, but I would assume that probably. And so whenever I can find somebody like yourself that I know is going to try as hard as they can and do a good job, that's something you want to write down.
Thanks, Bill. Yeah, and we try to put the customer first, and we pride ourselves in using employees, not subcontractors. So a lot of people like to hear that too.
Oh yeah. That's another thing. That is incredibly difficult, dude. That's why so many people used to use subcontractors. They still use subcontractors. A lot of remodeling companies out there, and it's very difficult. But I think it's better. I think it's a better way to go to use your own employees. You're more cohesive. You know how each job is going to be done because people do things differently. Different contractors like to do different
True.
things. Sometimes, they're not as good, but keep it clean. When you've got the control over that, I think that's a big deal, especially in your business. So anyway, so this
Great.
is
Thanks so
Brian
much, Bill.
Bidoff. Yeah, and one more time, I'm going to get your phone number out there.
It's 330-775-0991, and it's Kitchen Tune-Up. You can look at kitchentuneup.com online.
Okay, great. Awesome.
Thanks, Bill. Appreciate it.
Boy, hey, thanks for calling in.
I'll keep listening. Have a great weekend. Bye.
Okay, you too. Bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye.
Yeah, that was funny. The kitchen too. I can't believe he ended up in the field that I came out of. We did a ton of that work with my dad. My dad was he was really gifted, and I know everybody thinks their family members are really gifted, but I would be honest with them. It makes me not so popular with a lot of people, but anyway, he had a true gift. My dad did, and you couldn't keep up with him. Nobody could keep up with him, and nobody could do the same quality of work that he did. I mean, there were, of course, across the country there for people like that, but nobody that I knew it was mind-boggling. He didn't use nail guns because he never missed a nail and dented the wood. And all of you carpenters out there would understand what I'm saying by that, or meant by that. But it was pretty wild. And so Brian does a great job. He started in real estate, and then he got into the contracting. And I've seen a lot of the work that they've done. It's very, very good. So anyway, that is Brian Bidoff, and it's called Kitchen Tune-Up. And the number again, 330-775-0991. And by the way, if you're one of my clients and you have a business, I keep forgetting a lot of my clients retire and then do what they really wanted to do for a job because they don't need the money now. So you'd be give me a call or send me an email. I'd be glad to do the same thing Brian and I did. We'll have a little conversation, and you can come on and talk about it. I think it's very fascinating, all the different things that go on there. I think I had a client retire and get into the T-shirt business, and we talked about them quite a bit. They did fairly well. Actually, they did really well for quite a while. I'm not sure if they're still doing it or not. It was several years ago, but yeah, that would be interesting. What do you do when you are retired? You have an ability to continue to work. The average life expectancy is still pretty high in America. What's really wild is the longer you live, the more likely it is you're going to live longer. I know that sounds really stupid, but the bottom line is if you make it to 65, there's a really good chance that you're going to live longer than the average life expectancy. Which in America, it depends on whether you're male or female, it's in your early 70s. So the fact that you make it to your early 70s means that you're probably going to live past your early 70s. Right up until you don't. That's unfortunately, it very, very, very difficult to predict, even with lab tests and all the other kind of stuff. And it's just very hard. We have to deal a lot with statistics in investing. I've just been around it all my entire life. There are lots of surprises in that. The averages that you're coming up with have such a wide array of occurrences to come up with that average. A lot of times the data is not very useful. So what am I trying to say? You may live to 100, you may not make it past 50, and you just don't know. So that was one of the reasons, like when I was putting this company together, when I was first, actually before I did that, I worked for big firms, and these guys were always um, using numbers in their projections that, if they were wrong, if you didn't die at age 73, you're going to run out of money. And I'm like, whoa, really? You guys are going to take life expectancy and then make the plan? And I know why they were doing it. It was because you didn't have to make nearly as high of a return on the investment if you only planned on your client living for 5 years after they retired. That would skew those numbers big time. And so anyway, I just pretended that, hey, look, everybody's going to live to 90, and if you live past 90, back in those days, are you really? Everybody that lived past 90 that I knew of had they had slowed down a lot psychologically. So, in other words, there was some dementia setting in, and not everybody. I will never forget this guy. His name was Larry Washville, and this dude lived to 93, and he was sharp as a tack all the way up until he passed away. And which I'm not so sure that I would like that, because he was well aware that he was dying. And he called me from the hospital, and he actually called into my radio show from the hospital, and we had a good conversation, and he knew, that was mind-boggling. It's was such a nice guy too, and you meet a lot of really nice people in this business, and but I guess I'll stop talking about that now and kind of start talking about retirement planning 101. I never thought it was all that difficult, but I started out my career working for the Equitable, which was a big insurance company, and they owned money management firms, and they were a conglomerate. So they were one of the first firms to do everything. They would do retirement planning. They did 401ks, pension plans, estate plans, you name it. And that's actually what attracted me to them, because I was so curious about all those different areas. I really wondered, what do rich people do with their money? That was my biggest question, actually. And I didn't realize at the time that most people don't make it to the rich level. And a big part of the reason is the lack of financial education. And they should start teaching this stuff in the 12th grade, or I don't know, not 12th grade, in the 7th grade, so that by the 12th grade that you've already got it down. And it would help a lot if they would do that, because by the time you're in the 7th grade in America, even everybody always rags on our school system. I'll tell you what, maybe they're able to do a few things across the world that our average student can't, but they don't have 330 million people in one country either. In China they do. In China they work very hard, but the bottom line is these classes should be taught. These are the classes that I think really should be taught right around the time you're around 12 years old, before your hormones kick in. That's once the teenagers' hormones kick in, you can't talk to them until they're 30. But I'm just kidding, and kind of. But I think every parent out there that's got older kids understands exactly what I'm talking about. But it really, in America, the vast majority of people don't really meet not a vast majority, but there's a large percentage, I should say. It's not the majority, but they really don't mature fully until they're in their 40s, and that's pretty rough. That's really rough, and you don't have to be mature to know to contribute to your 401k plan. Does it happen like it should? No. And there are all kinds of reasons. Some of them are very good reasons. A lot of them are just that there's no training. Nobody's out there doing what I'm doing on a radio show saying, hey, listen, you need to put money away. There's this rule called the 4% rule. Take your current income, take 80% of it, because that's approximately what you'll need to retire without cutting back on your lifestyle. Notice I said that's what you'll have to have without cutting back on your lifestyle. So, and everybody, again, is a little bit different there. There are people that save so much that they could live on, 25% of what they're making now because they don't spend any money. And then you get a whole bunch of people who spend more than they're making now. So it's all over the map. And that's one of the things that always I guess, surprised me is how many differences there are out there. Other thing that used to surprise me was how many people were married who had different ideas on what it should be like when they retire and how much money that takes. So one of the reasons I do this show, if you're out there and you're married, you're in a situation like that, and you'd like your spouse to say, to wake up and say, yeah, maybe we should start saving more, get a plan, have them listen to the show, which you can start listening to again as soon as I come back from these commercial messages. Thanks. This is Bill Bullington right here on 1420. Stay tuned.
I thought I filled my heart up, sitting on top, winning, but that ain't winning.
For a long time, we worked right out of our garage, like a tech startup, except for plumbing. Luke, me, my dad, plus Jamal. And a great thing about that is we were just off the kitchen, and Mom was there, making sure we always had fresh coffee, sodas, and snacks. Plus, we'd full-on feast on breakfast, with everybody a few times a month. And nothing beats sitting down together over a home-cooked meal.
Especially with your mom's blueberry oatmeal pancakes.
Jamal's right, those are my favorite.
Forget plumbing, you'd make a fortune just selling those.
So when we moved into our current building, we recreated Mom's kitchen between the offices and the warehouse. And Mom's still there sometimes on Tuesdays, cooking breakfast, including her famous pancakes for the whole company. So ladies, if your husband's a plumber who isn't happy or appreciated at work, and if he's the right kind of plumber, call about joining us for breakfast.
If you're on the team, you're family, and you'll see it for yourself over breakfast.
Consider it done at WyattWorks.com.
Do you ever find yourself saying, I need a vacation? Vacation Fixation can help. At Vacation Fixation, we specialize in all-inclusive trips and cruises to Mexico, the Caribbean, and Disney vacations. Why choose us? Our clients book through Vacation Fixation because they are frustrated with online trip brokers and timeshare scams. Whether it's a weekend getaway, a family trip, spring break, or honeymoon, Vacation Fixation will personalize a trip just for you. Want to know the hottest destinations in Cancun, Punta Cana, Jamaica, or Puerto Vallarta? Interested in room upgrades, beach reviews, or details about resort restaurants? How about finding a trip with a direct flight? At Vacation Fixation, we take all of your specific travel requests and shop our suppliers to find the best deal. What's the cost? Our suppliers pay us so you don't have to. Call 330-573-8147 for more details. Or you can visit our website at vacationfixation.com or check out the deal of the day on Facebook. Vacation Fixation.
Is it finally time to update your bathroom? Bath Planet, a division of Joyce Factory Direct, specializes in replacing and converting old showers and tubs into new, beautiful bathrooms in as little as one day. We have transformed thousands of bathrooms just like yours into a spa-like oasis that has homeowners excited to use their new bathtub or shower. Right now, all bath installations are 50% off. So call to schedule a free consultation with on-the-spot pricing. 440-243-5700 or visit JoyceFactoryDirect.com.
I've been running in circles, jumping the hurdles, getting caught in that rush of doing so much.
Well, welcome back. This is Bill Bullington. I'm here every Saturday morning from 11 to noon, 1420. If you hear anything you'd like more information on, please feel free to reach out to me. My website is bullingtoncapital.com. That website again is bullingtoncapital.com. It's got my phone number, my address, email, a form you can fill out, and feel free. I was just looking, Brian Wilson from the Beach Boys. He just passed away, and he made it to 82, which is that's pretty good. I can't imagine that a performer's life is easy. Actually, I know it's not. I used to work security for a lot of concerts that would come into Cleveland when I was in college, and man, those guys have it rough. Yeah, they're on the road all the time. And when they're not on the road, they're trying to sleep to perform. And so if they make a lot of money, God bless them. Yeah, because that is just a tough life, and it's hard for me to even fathom. I know those guys were not like super calm, but they to live to 82 after a life like that, that's pretty good. That's really good. The Anyway, so God bless them. Lost another one, but uh, it's just life, and I hope he's prepared. Yeah, I hope their family's prepared. It's kind of a key. I'm actually going to reach out to a couple of attorneys that have reached out to me in the past and try to get them to come on to the show because there is a lot of stuff that you really probably need to get in order. It's one thing to manage the money and make it last long enough, which in some cases is really a tough thing to do. Some others, not so much. But having it go to the right people, to have it do what you want it to do, if you have a charity that you'd like to take care of, if you don't have children, you have children that you like, and you just want to make sure that things are going to go as much as they can the way that you would like them to. So I'm going to try in the future here to get a couple of attorneys to come on, just give some advice, and a large part of it, is the getting the right documentation in place, and that is key. I can't tell you how many times I've seen things happen that people did not understand or expect. And look, if you don't have a will, okay, that's the first thing. And even if you do have a will, you need to make sure that the will's done right. An awful lot of people could definitely use a trust, which you can set up. And by the way, most of the trusts that you set up, you can change if you feel like you have the need to. Not all of them. Some of them are irrevocable. That means you can't make changes to them once you set it up. So you got to be really careful with that. And all the more reason to have a professional to talk to about what you'd like to accomplish. And it's the same thing with any sort of planning that I see with an estate plan or retirement income plan. You have to kind of have an idea of what you would like to accomplish. Okay? Most people want to retire and not run out of money. Okay, that's great. Yeah, get that. How much money do you need to support your current lifestyle or the lifestyle that you are going to want to live in retirement? And oftentimes when they hear that, people get intimidated, and because it is a lot. But you can actually Social Security is huge. I paid at the highest amounts for the last 30 years. And I'm looking at it and I'm going, wow, can they really afford to pay that to me when I get to retirement until I die? I don't know. But knock on wood. But those are numbers that you can get now online. And so if you are 4 or 5 years away from retirement, or if you're going to retire next year, get online, get your statement. They'll tell you how much it's going to be. If you took it at different ages, this year I just became eligible for Social Security at 62, a couple months ago. And but the longer you put it off, the more it is. So I'm going to wait until it just doesn't have a guarantee to go up anymore before I take mine. and I'm not planning on retiring ever, by the way. I don't know if you guys listen to Jim McAlee's show. He's the financial guy that comes on before my show, and great guy. Has been doing it for forever. He was actually he was an engineer, so math for him pretty easy. His wife had started the show, and she was a financial planner. So they've been doing this for a long time too. There's all kinds of opinions and flavors out there, but the bottom line is, your plans don't have to be super detailed. Leave that to the attorney. You should just have an idea of, okay, this is what I think I would like to have happen. My spouse definitely comes first. I want to take care of my spouse, and you may not feel that way. Everybody's different. Maybe you got married later in life, and you've got grown kids, and you want to make sure that they're going to be taken care of. That's a serious issue with an awful lot of families. So you need to set that up ahead of time, and when you're on your deathbed, it's very difficult to sign documents that are you just don't want to wait, I guess I should say. And I am going to reach out. I've had an offer from a couple people that said they would like to come on the show, and I just haven't had time. And part of that reason is, man, it has been like nightmarish, the work that's involved in setting up some of these other venues I have for my existing clients to do some investing. Like, I've got this one strategy. It's only 40 stocks, so it's 2.5% in 40 stocks. And these stocks are currently, I look at it every 4 weeks, and I take the 40 stocks that are actually doing the best out of the top 3,000. Okay? The top 3,000, that's like, it's literally 99% of the available stock market. So I'm taking those, and normally these the companies that make that screen, they're in the top 40. They're typically not super big companies, because your smaller companies' share prices have a tendency to move faster than the bigger ones do. So even though, but if for some reason say Google made the list, well, it would be in there. You'd end up owning it. So it's a momentum strategy. It's something that I got the idea from watching other huge portfolio managers, and they were doing this when they were small enough to do it. By the way, they outgrew it. You can't do this if you're managing billions of dollars. It's just not going to happen. So you have to do something else. And basically, you're just going to have to invest in a wider array of stocks, because you will push the stock prices up on the ones that you're buying, and then when you sell them, you'll push them back down again. And SEC is not real fond of that, and neither are your investors. So it's wild that you've gotten like BlackRock, Fidelity, Vanguard. These guys are big enough to move markets like by themselves. You got minimally 3 companies that could move the share prices on markets almost anywhere they wanted to by themselves, and that blows me away. That's only been within the last 5 years or so, well, maybe 10, and it's just unbelievable. And the volatility levels are really high on the strategies that make the most money. That's one of the reasons that annuities are so popular. Annuities, typically, the insurance companies are pretty shrewd. I like Nationwide's products better than the others. There are a lot of reasons for that. If you want to know what they are, give me a call. But anyway, there are a lot of annuity companies out there who can afford to pay pretty high rates of return. They will guarantee those rates for as long as you live. Depends on the product. Some of them only come with guarantees for a certain number of years, and some of them will guarantee for a lifetime. So you got to be really careful with that stuff. That's the one thing that I think is probably puts people off when they're thinking about annuities, is that they can be really complicated. I try to stick with those that have the least amount of complications, but even those can be really complicated from time to time. And you'll know more about that if you decide to call me and talk about it. And I invite anybody, if you want to talk about this stuff, that's all I do, really. Try to help you make decisions. If I see something and I say, that probably doesn't work in your situation, and here's why. Or, hey, that works really well. You might want to do that. I'm very open. Try to stay completely open-minded. I have portfolios like that 40 stock. That's an aggressive growth stock strategy. I love it. And man, is that sucker volatile. And I have a ton of money in annuities who they don't move much at all, because they're invested very conservatively to begin with. And I'm there just because of the guaranteed income that I'm going to get, when I decide to retire. And actually, I'll probably start taking it at 67 because you don't get penalized for making money after 67, and you can turn your Social Security on, and you don't get penalized for that either. And kind of a big deal. And so it's nice to know that you're on a path, and the path is not the same for anybody. I have never seen two people with an identical situation, even married couples. So that's what makes my business interesting to me, because I hear things all the time. And most of my knowledge has come from the last 30 years doing the research for my clients. Hey, this is happening, Bill. What do I do? You know what? Let me call you back. And I have CPAs and attorneys that I talk to. They're on retainer. And it's been really fascinating. And then when the internet came out, that helped, kind of. But now you get so bombarded with so much information, and some of the information's not. It's actually taking a different stance than a lot of the other websites out there that have information on the topics that I'm looking for. So then you have to try to figure out which one is right, and that's not easy. So I typically, when I get to those kind of questions, that's when I'm going to lawyers. Just say, what do you think? But anyway, I've only got about 60 seconds. This thing has flown by. I can't believe it. Anyway, this is Bill Bullington. If you'd like more information, or you heard something that you would like more information on, just go to my website. It's bullingtoncapital.com. And thanks for listening, everybody. Have a good weekend, and good luck.
You just caught another edition of the Bullington Capital Report, broadcasting every Saturday at 11 a.m. on AM 1420, The Answer. If you have a question and you'd like to speak to Bill personally, you can call him at 330-664-0700. That's 330-664-0700. Or online at bullingtoncapital.com. That's bullingtoncapital.com.
The preceding program has been paid for by Bullington Capital Management, LLC.